Thank you, Mayor. One item concerning the IEPA service line notices. Mr. Pegorski, take it on this.
Yep, thank you, trustee. So, if you live in Lansing, you received a letter from us in the last week or two notifying you whether or not our inventory of your water line indicates you either have lead, galvanized, or lines that we're unsure of. This is a requirement by Illinois EPA. Lead service line replacement is a huge priority, as you know. We're like last year for funding. We received a offer for loan, turned down. We're applying again this year. We're hopeful to maybe have some better news soon. But the requirement to send out these notices resulted in everybody getting a letter, and so it created quite a stir within the village. We got a lot of calls at the office last week. A lot of people concerned about what does this mean? What am I supposed to do? I don't think I have lead, but why am I getting a letter that says we're not sure what you have? So to kind of explain that, as soon as I started getting calls, I put in a call to Jeff and Stephen from Robinson. I said, why don't we, I said, if I'm getting calls, I'm sure some of our other elected officials are getting calls. I said, so why don't we cover it at the committee, the whole meeting, everybody can understand what's going on. Obviously we're getting in touch with folks who have contacted us. We're reassuring them that there's no reason to panic. The letters that went out explain what to do if you have a lead service line or if your lines are galvanized. But again, it creates a bit of a kerfuffle, so to speak. So we want to make sure we explain what's going on, and couldn't think of anybody better to do it than our main man engineer, Jeff Pintar. So Jeff gets the assignment.
I think a few. They just wouldn't come here tonight. Thank you, Administrator Pegorski. Trustees, Mayor, Clerk. As the administrator said, just try to clarify a little bit where we're at right now in the process. As the administrator said, these letters went out. There's a few different versions of it. They all came with a cover letter. So the administrator, we had drafted a cover letter to hopefully that sort of language would ease these people's minds a little bit, because we did know that maybe the number of letters that went out didn't really fully support the data that we have available to us, and I'll explain why. So again, just kind of a rough schematic of a typical home, and it's not going to be typical for everybody, but here's the village-owned main, and then you've got from the main to the valve. Everybody's got a shut-off valve, some call it a V-box. There's a valve in the parkway. So if you're mowing your lawn and mowing around it, that valve can shut the water off to your home, shut that service off. And then from that valve, you've got the homeowner service line, and then there's another shut-off valve and a meter. So when we did the meter replacement, we were able to roughly tell what was going into the home on this side and going into the home here. With the EPA kind of moved the goalposts on us, changed the language, undetermined, we had to list everybody as undetermined unless we were 100% sure what this material was on the street side of the V-box. Well, unfortunately, our meter replacement project didn't include anything on this side of that V-box. So the definition of undetermined, even though we knew over 60% were non-lead, we didn't have an indication here. The only indication we had here were from water main replacement projects over the last 10 years that we've done. We have really good records that we replace all those services. They were copper to begin with, copper now. So what did that do for sending out the letters? Unfortunately, we wanted to send out about 2,000, 2,500 letters. Unfortunately, we had to send out over 8,500 letters that said, you may have lead, which again led to a lot of calls to the village office. So that change in definition recently, over the last 12 months, changed our inventory and how we had to designate unknown versus known. So again, most residents, because there were 9,100 meters replaced, that we sent out over 8,500 letters. The letters received outside of the cover letter is the standard IEP language. We could not change that at all. Every resident in Illinois that received that had the same language. So again, over 90% of the residents received this letter. There is good info in this letter, and as the mayor or as the administrator mentioned previously, but they can, some of the language can be alarming. We want everybody to know these are best practices. Okay, the language in here of should you have infants at home, use cold water and then boil it. Don't use hot water. Things of that nature. There's a lot of good information in here, but they are best practices. I felt like I learned a little bit through a couple presentations that I listened to. This is still a lead pipe that's used in England. It's over 100 years old. Lead has been used in history for hundreds and hundreds of years for water conveyance. The PB symbol for lead, chemistry, taking everybody back to chemistry class, stands for plumbum, which also converts to plumbing. So lead has been synonymous with plumbing from the day the periodic table was created. For hundreds of years, lead and plumbing, they were synonymous. Over time, we get smarter and learn, we've got to do, there are, some negative side effects to having lead lines. This is one of the images from a lead service line in Flint, Michigan that really, started a lot of this conversation. The good news is for our area, we get our water from Lake Michigan, right? Goes through Hammond, it's treated, comes to Lansing, treated. When you treat Lake Michigan water properly, you are not causing any corrosion of that lead pipe. It's just a conveyance pipe. There's no scaling, there's no particles, particulates that are getting in there. You're not grabbing all of the scaling lead that goes into the system. So because we have Lake Michigan water, and because we treat it properly, it creates a smooth liner on the inside and not grabbing those particulates. Should you change water sources, which if you read a lot of the Flint, Michigan information, the change in water source and not using the proper chemicals could corrode a lead pipe, and now you're picking up this scaling. That's the danger. That's what we don't want to incur. So the fact that we have Lake Michigan water and we're using the right treatment, there's no immediate concerns for something like this happening to our lead service lines. However, we're smarter than we were hundreds of years ago. We know they need to be replaced. It's the right thing to do. That's why the EPA has put a program in place to start replacing these lead service lines in the next few years, 2027. So we're doing our best to try and learn what is on the water main side, right? The street side of that V-box. So we've received a grant from the IEPA. We're trying to get even more money to do some hydro excavation, maybe one house or two houses on each block in different subdivisions to learn what's there. And then through predictive modeling, we can say, okay, if these two homes on this block are copper, they were all built in the same subdivision, all built at the same time, we have information to believe that these are all copper in this area. So we are working on that right now to improve our inventory based on the new definition of unknown. So that's what we're doing right now. So should you see this hydro excavation going on in some of the subdivisions, we are going to be starting that soon. So what happens then is they excavate down just in that small pit, and then it's kind of hard to see here. So you can see on this side, here's your main. On this side, you have copper here and copper here. So you can see on each side there's copper. So just just hydro excavating down in the parkway, we'll be able to tell if it's copper or not copper. So that's what we're doing right now. Again, we have grant funding for that. There's a lot of information out there. We have information on our website mainly for how to, our clients to get funding. But if anybody has any other concerns or wants more information, the EPA has a lot. I put the whole link on there. I know it's long. But if you go to EPA, Illinois.gov, and go to topics, you'll be able to navigate through a lot of good information. If there's anybody concerned in the public, I would definitely send them to the EPA's website. And then obviously we're here to help as well. We've been involved in this process for quite a while. Got a lot of good information, so use us as a resource as well. If one of the residents wants even a visit to the home, we can do that. So hopefully it clears up a little bit. Unfortunately, the definition of unknown changed on us, and we had to send out more letters than we anticipated. But we are still confident based on the information we have. You're looking at more like in the 23 to 2,500 service lines that will need to be replaced.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Mr. Ritter, you picked the right guy to explain that. I'm ready to go through, yes, because I know what a periodic table is for nothing.
Yeah, PB. It was the root word of plumbing. I learned it myself recently. I had to throw it in there.
Jeff, do we have any anticipated timeline of when we find out if we get any like unforgivable loans or anything like that?
This latest round will come out at the end of the month, so we're really close. Yes.
All right, so there's no action item here. This is all just informational. We'll have more service line updates as they become available.
Thanks, everyone.